tomorrow. I thought about today, but it's so much easier to say tomorrow. Who promised you tomorrow?
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Ask Elaine. You know that it's Wednesday. You know that it's 3 o'clock because you see our smiling faces here back with you. Thank you again so much for tuning in. We appreciate you being there and supporting the program. We have a very, very special guest today, maybe two, but we'll see as the program goes on. But we appreciate your tuning in. If you've tuned in on AM, FM, on Facebook Live, if you've tuned in by Instagram, YouTube, any of the other media, we appreciate your being there. And we've been hearing some really good things from the owners of this station, the apostle and the bishop, that you are really showing out, that people are tuning in on radio, listening to Ask Elaine. And we can tell by looking at the comments here that there are lots of people who are joining us by Facebook Live. And we really do appreciate you. We want to thank the owners of the station, the apostle and the bishop, for their support as we've kept this program going. We've been on the air. This program, Ask Elaine, has been on about 10 years, y'all. We've been in several different locations, but we've continued because people want to know what's going on. They want to know the truth. And I hope that we continue to share with you the truth. And I've told you that this is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas. And we welcome you to the program, and we hope that we share something today that's going to be beneficial to you. Now, as always, we start out, we thank our sponsors, Senator Lucas, former Mayor C. Jack Ellis. We want to thank our Sheriff, David Davis. We want to thank my sister, Beverly, with Glory Baking Company. All of these folks, the Middle Georgia Informer, all of these folks we want to thank for their support in helping us to keep this program going. We also want to thank Black Voters Matter, which has we applied for and received a grant to continue getting civic information out to the public. And so that helps us to keep this information coming to you. We have something very special that we want you to see, and it's called the Macon-Bibb County 2122 Government Directory, and I hope that you're able to see this. But we have brought a bunch of these over here to WDDO because we know that you want to know who your governmental officials are. There are pictures of everyone from the president all the way to your local elected officials. It has information in here on voter registration. We want to thank the League of Women Voters, which and they work each year to put this together. And when candidates, when elected officials change, then they update this government directory. But it's a great, handy piece of information to have. And so, if you would like to get a free governmental directory with all your elected officials, their addresses, how you get in touch with them, how you address your envelopes if you're going to mail. I don't know who mails anything anymore, but whatever your choice of communication is, this has the information in there. We have left a bunch of these here at WDDO. If you stop by here, you can pick them up. If you stop by EL High School Academy, we have them there, along with some other goodies, some other information. If you need to register to vote, as Black Voters Matter continually encourages you to, and we do as well, then you can go by the Board of Elections on Pine on Avenue. You could stop by EL High School. You could ask Dr. Ellington, who's one of our special guests today, and I bet you he has some voter registration blanks in his car. And all faithful folks who are committed to the citizenship for all people keep voter registration cards in their car at all times. So you cannot vote if you're not registered. And folks are trying to make it real, real hard for you to register, and they want you to be discouraged. They don't want you to vote and make your own choices. So if you like that kind of stuff, then, business as usual. But if you're like us and you don't like that, would you please get yourself registered to vote? There are 6 lines on a card that has the postage already on it, that you fill out and sign your name, and you either mail it in, you can take it in to our local Board of Elections, and in a few weeks you'll receive your card that says that you're a registered voter, and it has on there where you go and vote. Now, I had a student the other day who came in, Dr. Ellington, and she will turn 18 about a week before the May 24th election. I told her that since she's 17 and a half, she can go ahead, fill out her voter registration form, turn it in to the Board of Elections. And even though she might not have received her card by the time for the election, that she still will be placed on a list because she is eligible to vote in the May 24th elections. And so, what she'll need to do is to go, we will find out for her where she goes to vote, what her voting precinct is, polling place is, and we will make sure that she is directed there and that she casts her ballot.
That's terrific.
Okay.
And there's places where if you want to check your own registration, you don't need the card. It's a nice thing to have.
Right.
But you can go to my voter page, www.mvp.sos.ga, and you can check the status of your registration. That will tell you your polling place. You
Right.
can get your sample ballot there, all that.
See, I told you he was ready. I told you, committed folks who are sincere about their involvement in the community. They don't wait until election time to get this information. They know it all the time, and they share it with other folks, especially a lot of the young folks that you are in contact with in your job as a professor at Wesleyan College. And so that helps our young people to get involved. So let me go ahead. I wanted to get that information to you, and I wanted to encourage you, as we always do, to get yourself registered, because you can't vote if you are not registered. You cannot vote, and we really need to turn out in record numbers in this election on May 24th and in November, when there is another election. So, I mean, that's 2 times this year, and there may be one other time for runoffs. But, I mean, it's about you. It's about you and your family. So let me go ahead and introduce our special guest. This is none other than Dr. Tom Ellington. Ellington, excuse me, and I both served on the city council at the same time. Tom, how many years were you on the council?
I was on for 2 terms, and so that worked out to a little bit less than 7 years because the
Mhm.
second term was truncated by consolidation.
Right. And so he has that experience, that background. He is a college professor. He's involved with the Democratic Party. We served together on our local Make and Bib Democratic Party. And I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about himself so that you will know him like we know him, and you'll come to trust him, and you will feel like that he's one that you want to support. He is running for chair of our Macon Bibb Water Authority, the Macon Bibb Water Authority. So it's so important that you vote every election on your ballot. So I'm going to turn it over to him and let him tell you a little bit more about himself. And then we're going to talk about the water board, why he wants to be chair, and then a few other issues.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm delighted to be here. First of all,
Thank you for coming.
it's terrific to receive an invitation anytime. So yes, I am a former member of the Macon City Council. I've been a professor at Wesleyan College since 2004. I left elected office in 2013 with consolidation, but I've continued in public service. I've served as the chair of the Pedestrian Safety Review Board, which Mrs. Lucas, you remember sponsoring the legislation that set that up. That's very much been your creation, and it's been wonderful for our community. I am serving a second stint right now as chair of the Macon Bibb County Land Bank Authority, and I've also served on the Transit Authority. And I try to be
Right.
active with neighborhood groups, with volunteering, and basically just trying to get to where I'm with people and where I'm helping people out in the community. And it's certainly been an honor to serve in whatever capacity I've been allowed. And it would certainly be my honor to have your vote and your support on May 24th or during early voting as I seek the chairmanship of the Macon Water Authority.
Okay, now some of the positions are in a district. This one is not. This is countywide. This is for the chairmanship of the Water Authority. So, talk just a little bit about that.
Sure. So it's elected countywide, and it's an important position because what the Macon Water Authority does deals with economic development. It deals with public health, but most of all, what it does is it gives us a foundation for our community, and that's something that you can significantly appreciate if you see a place where that's been taken away. So, one other thing I didn't mention in my remarks about myself is that in 2019, 2020, I was actually away for a year. I went to complete a Master's of Public Administration degree at the Harvard Kennedy School. And one of the things that I did there is I worked with Cornell Brooks, the former chair of the NAACP. I had a class with him, and he sent me with the team to Flint, Michigan, where we worked with Flint Rising and other groups there that are still trying to handle the aftermath of that absolutely tragic and infuriating situation where the residents of Flint were poisoned, basically to save a few pennies at the direction of an emergency manager who was not even elected.
Mhm.
And it turns out that replacing pipes is not the hard part of the equation. It takes money. And so if you don't have that, that's difficult. But if you got the money, you can do that. But how do you rebuild the trust once
Exactly.
that's gone? And that's
Right.
going to be a generational effort in Flint. And somebody asked me when all of this would be over and repaired. And I said, probably not in my lifetime, because there are just some things where you can't be made whole.
Mhm. Mhm.
Parents who lost children to Michigan's equivalent of defects because they had their water turned off, that they don't get that time back. Children who experience developmental delays because of lead poisoning. Um, there's not a way to make that whole,
Right.
and you just basically try to compensate for that now. So I have seen what happens when there's a disaster with systems that we should be able to take for granted. And I'm not forecasting anything like that for Macon, but we do have the Macon Water Authority does have three interrelated systems that we have to have in good working order, and that's the water system, the sanitary sewer system, and the one that the Water Authority most recently took over, the stormwater management system. And Chairman Hart has done a great job being a steady hand at the wheel of the Water Authority for the past couple of terms. I salute his service. So this doesn't reflect on him, but the challenges ahead are challenges that have accumulated over generations or that the Water Authority has willingly taken on with the stormwater management system. So there's a lot of work to do. I feel like I'm an experienced leader. I'm a consensus builder, and I'm going to have the ability to basically manage those processes as we move forward.
Right, right. You served as chair of appropriations while on the council,
That's right.
didn't you? Uh-huh. Okay, handling the money. Pastor Lisa Watson, we want to welcome all of you who have tuned in and those who are on Facebook Live and are in the chat. Pastor Lisa Watson is asking if you have opposition for that election for chairman. And yes, there are two others who have qualified to run. Gary Bechtel, who is now serving on P&Z and several other things. And then there's also Desmond Brown, who was formerly a District 2 Water Authority board member. So there are three people who are in that race. The race will take place. It's nonpartisan, from what I understand, but we're going to talk a little bit about who you trust and, who's afraid to say what party they're a part of and who's not
Well, and
and
I
who's
want to be
worked.
clear that I'm a
Yeah,
Democrat. I've
yeah,
been a proud Democrat, and I'm happy to work with the local party. I'm happy to be on the state committee, and I believe in the values of the Democratic Party. So there won't be a D next to my name on the ballot, but you know that there's one in my heart.
right. And so on your ballot, there will be some races that are partisan, but there will also be the nonpartisan races. And this is one of those. That's why it's so important for you to vote in every one of the races. Even if there's only one candidate in a particular race, if I can stand them, I go ahead and vote for them anyway. And if I can't stand them, I just leave their name. I just leave that little bubble. I just leave it blank. But in most instances, I'm able to vote. I take it very, very seriously, and you should too, because there are laws being passed here in our state. They have been passed to curtail your right to vote. And you know how you get when folks try to tell you that they're going to take something away from you, something that is your right. And so, Pastor Lisa's question, we've answered that. Yes, there are three candidates. That's why it's so important that all of you who support Dr. Ellington, you make sure that you go and you vote for him.
And please take a friend too.
Yes, yes, yes. Please take 5 people. We've got a campaign going where we're encouraging you take yourself, but also take 5 other people or take responsibility for 5 other people and their voting, whether it's to give them a ride, whether it's to assist them. You can assist people. Folks would make you think that you can't help people who need a little assistance with that voting process. You can. You just have to fill out a little paperwork that shows that you did assist that person. You're not doing anything wrong. It's allowed. Dr. Butler is on with us, and she's greeting us. And we have others who I found out a few weeks ago, Dr. Ellington, there's some people that I know who've been listening. They've been just sitting there listening to the program, but that we had a topic, the Will Smith and Chris Rock situation. Oh, and people came out. They started making a lot of comments. So we are just so happy to have all of you there. And good afternoon to all of you who are listening, whether it's on 980 AM or whether it's 107.9 FM or whether you're on Facebook Live or any of the other media. We are happy to have you here. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, welcoming you once again to the program. We're just so happy to be here and for you to join us each week for information. Dr. Butler is asking, will there be any sample ballots available before the election? I am assuming that there will be. There always are. I know that some people were saying that you could not make a copy of an actual ballot, but these are not the actual ballots. These are just these are copies. These are listings of all of the races that are on a particular ballot. So on the ballot. So, yes, there will be sample ballots. We will have some at EL High School Academy. We know the Democratic Party, which is on Georgia Avenue, the offices over there, they will have sample ballots. We will have listings and hopefully pictures of all of the candidates who are running. And the Democratic Party is going to let you know who the Democrats are. If there are nonpartisan races, we are going to let you know who we feel are the reliable Democratic candidates. Pastor Lisa, um, yeah, Pastor. Apostle Vertice was we were all trying to comfort him and his family in their loss, and it was kind of therapeutic for everybody else who has suffered the loss. And I shared the fact that our Al Lucas, big old 26-year-old 300-pounder, left us, died 17 years ago this past Sunday. And so of course all of those memories just flood back, but I try my best to always think of him fondly, think of the great times that we had with him for 26 years. He was a joy. He was a great young man, husband, father, community leader. And so we just hang on that. And so it was a pleasure to share that. And it was really therapeutic for me, Dr. Ellington, this morning, because the topic on the Drive Time program was, how do you deal with grief? How do you feel? Do you get over it? How can you get over it? All of those kinds of things. So it was one of the best programs that I think they've had here on DDO.
And it's so important. And
yeah,
I think Pastor Watson is commenting right now that we've had so much from COVID too. So a
yes,
lot of people
yes.
are feeling that keenly, and that doesn't go away tomorrow or next year. When you've lost somebody, it's a loss. It leaves a
Yeah,
hole.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah, and Pastor Lisa and Dr. Butler, we do have these government directories, and if you would like to get some, stop by the office. And anybody, if you want to get some for your church, get some for your civic group, or just your neighborhood, stop by EL High School Academy, 624 Shirling Drive in the Northeast Plaza Shopping Center. We will be glad to provide you with some of these. We were happy to receive some from the Board of Elections and from the League of Women Voters, and we are happy to allow you to get some and hand those out. And if that encourages people to register, to vote, to participate, to try and keep some people in office, to try and get some out of office, and replace them, then so be it. We want you to get them. So, Pastor Lisa and Dr. Butler, if y'all want to come by and pick up some, please feel free. All right, now, Doc, did you see any questions on there that you needed to respond to?
I'm not seeing any comments that we haven't touched on yet,
Okay.
but I would welcome others. So if you're out there and you have questions, please do chime in.
All right. And if you want to call in, our call in number is 478-250-1444. 478-250-1444. And y'all please hit share because there's some folks who are sitting there and they have missed 15 minutes, 20 minutes of Ask Elaine. And then they're going to say in a few minutes, dang, I missed part of the program. But you can always replay it. You can always replay it. But hit share just to remind our usual group of folks that we are on and that we're bringing to you what you need to know as far as information. Let me tell you that the Macon Water Authority is a separate entity that was set up by the state legislature. It was legislative action that it took to set up because the water authority used to be, water issues used to be under Macon city government. But there was this feeling that the water authority could, those issues could be handled better with a separate authority. And so it was created by an act of our legislative delegation. I feel certain Senator Lucas was in the legislature at that time, and they were very specific in setting it up to separate it from other entities, to give them the authority and the powers to make sure that our water system was protected and enhanced. And so that a lot of people call us on the commission about water issues and they think that we're putting them off, Doc. When we say, I'm sorry, we can't handle that, but you can call this water board person. But believe me, they're not putting you off. It's just that that's a separate entity. And those issues can best be handled by someone who is serving on the water board.
It is a separate entity, and I think that we've seen the wisdom in having a board that's dedicated specifically to handling issues of water and the sanitary sewer system. We just had a building dedication earlier this week to your friend and mine, Herbert Denard, who served on the Water Authority Board for some years. And he set up some of the institutions there that are still in place, the committee system, things like that. That have served incredibly well. So we can talk about some of the challenges that the Water Authority faces, but the foundations are strong. And there are some people like Mr. Denard who have done really important work in laying those foundations.
Yeah, we got to congratulate him again. The Herbert L. Denard, what is it?
Support Services
Center, which is on ML King downtown. It was officially dedicated in honor and renamed the Herbert L. Denard Center down there, and just a beautiful ceremony. And it was just Macon's elite that was there to wish him well and congratulate him. Herbert is very well thought of by a lot of people because he does a lot of talking. We know he talks a lot, but he walks the walk too. He has done an awful lot for this community, and I think it was only right that people remember those things, because a lot of times now people remember the bad stuff that comes out about you, but the good things, they have a hard time pulling those back up and remembering those. But forever, everybody will be able to look at that service center and know that Herbert Denard made significant contributions to the quality of water and the quality of service taking place at Macon Water Authority. And so we salute him. And when you see him, please congratulate him on that great honor.
Right. And it's coming up in the chat here that there are some other people who have served alongside him or on that board who have also had the best interest of the community in mind. The late Albert Billingsley, of course, Dorothy Black, Bert Bivens, who has filled a lot of roles. And, of course, Sam Hart is currently chair and will be to the end of the year. Lonzie Edwards. It's a real roll call of great people from our community.
That's right. That's right. And those of you who are in the chat, you can see all of the comments, all of the names, the late Lonzie Edwards. And of course, you've mentioned Sam Hart and Burt Bivens, Dorothy Black. And of course, Albert Billingsley and Mr. Denard, all of those folks. And Herbert, in making remarks, mentioned some of the people who served with him, who decided that they were going to form a coalition and get some things done. And that's what you have to do on these different boards and authorities. You have one vote.
That's right. Even the chair has one vote.
Even
So
the
you
chair.
have to build coalitions.
Absolutely. And if you think you can send somebody somewhere and they can carry everything by themselves, then you are mistaken. But you have to send honest people. You have to send courageous people. You have to send people who understand why they're there, people who read their information, people who know what the do's and don'ts are, people who will do what's right, who will be respectful, and people that you can respect and know that they're going to operate in your best interest. And so you've got a decision to make in these elections coming up, May 24th. Now, early voting will begin, what is that, 3 weeks prior
3 weeks out.
to?
So May 2nd through May 20th.
Right. So it's right around the corner, y'all. We're in the middle it's the 13th. We're in the middle of April already, and it just came in. Just seems to me it just came in. And so you have got to, I think you've got until, what is it, the 21st, another week and a half maybe, to become a registered voter.
I believe it's the 25th. It's 30 days out.
Okay.
But
So,
don't wait. You don't have to wait till the last minute.
Yeah. Come by the EL High School Academy or go by the Board of Elections on Pound Avenue. Get the card. It has 6 lines on it that you fill in, and then you sign your name. And if you want to drop it in the mail, you seal it together. It even has the postage already on it. You don't even have to worry about putting postage, or you can take it to the Board of Elections. Become a registered voter, because it's too late. It's too late after the election is over. And 29 days out from the election is too late for this election. But if you happen to miss this 30-day deadline, you can still register. You can still register up until 30 days prior to the November election. But I want you to be able to vote in May and vote in November. And I know Dr. Ellington does as well. I think we've got a call. Caller, thank you for calling Ask Elaine.
Hello, Elaine. This is Harold Young.
Harold Young, how are you, sir? This
I'm
is
wonderful. Thank you. How about yourself?
Tubman Museum.
Yes, ma'am. How are you today?
Doing fine. Are you trying to talk low and sexy today? We can't hear you very well.
Let me see if I can do something. I guess I was trying to impress somebody, but let me get back to my professional voice. Is that better?
That is better, Harold. Our special guest today is Dr. Ellington, who is a candidate for chairman of the board. And you are the director, executive director of the Tubman Museum. Dr. Ellington voted in favor of some things about the Tubman Museum when he was on the city council.
That SPLOST was important. And it's so great to see the building open and being used by people in the community.
Right.
Well, thank you, sir. I did see you. I saw you just recently in the building. I appreciate you patronizing the building as well. We thank you. We appreciated being here. Those who are on city council, before the current administration, we do appreciate, because the museum is doing quite well, and we thank you very much for allowing us to be one of the jewels in our city.
Yeah, I'm always, whenever I go to Tubman events, I watch to see who's there. And Dr. Ellington is one of those folks, and I know you can't say anything because you can't get in the middle of a political race. But Dr. Ellington is there, and he hadn't been running for anything. So that tells me something about a
Right.
person's commitment. If they're continuing to support things, if they're attending the Democratic Party Executive Committee meetings and the general meetings, and they're supporting the ideals and the proposals of the National Democratic Party, that says something to me.
It does.
That they're
And,
sincere.
I've learned years ago, and this has nothing to do with where we are right now, but my father told me in order to be supported, you need to be supportive.
Exactly.
So you support things before they need you.
Right.
And just like Dr. Ellington, like as you're speaking, and those others that support these entities before you actually ask somebody to for your vote or for your support. You have to show support. For their events. Don't just show up during election time or come around when it's time for election. Be very careful with that.
People really get tired of that. And you show up at the church,
Yes.
want the special treatment and all of that. You ought to be going to stuff the entire time. But now you have the special something coming up. You had all that jazz with Smokey in January, and now we have the premier event sponsored by the Tubman, and that is, are you there, Harold?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
Pan African.
The 26th Annual Pan-African Festival of Georgia.
Okay. Tell us about it.
Listen, we're really excited. It's going to take place April 23rd and 24th in the parking lot of the Coliseum, Macon Coliseum. This is the second year we've been there, and we really are excited about it. This year, we usually have a closing the evening with a special guest. This year, we have none other than Mr. Jeffrey Osborne that's going to close the festival on Saturday night. And also on Sunday for Praise Day, we have Karen Clark Shear and Byron Cage coming.
My.
And that is always a great event.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we really are excited about this year. This year we're doing something a little different. We have along with it's only $10 to get in. First of all, you would never see these artists for $10 ever. No. So for general admission, $10 a day and $5 for children for 5 to 12, and they can get in for $5. And
Where's
the Children's Village. Ma'am,
where's it going to be?
At the Coliseum parking lot.
I think that's so now people can sit in chairs, at tables, in their cars. About that.
So what we're doing this year too, we do have reserved tables at the Tubman Museum. We have a few left. It's going very quickly. It's $40 for a 2-day pass. So if you pay $40, you get your same seat for Saturday and Sunday. So you don't have to worry about trying to find a place to put your seat. But then those others, we have the grass area where you can bring your lawn chairs, or bring your chairs out there, bring your blankets for the little area, or just you may not be able to sit, depending on the crowd. You may not be able to see the stage from your car because of the position of the stage. But if you want to just come out, and we have over 85 vendors that are going to be there from all over the United States are coming in. It's really amazing. We have a vendor coming all the way from California to be a part of the festival. So the festival is getting I said national attention,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
we really are excited about that.
Well, last year it was wonderful. I remember attending, and we were still dealing with COVID. We still are dealing with COVID, y'all. It's
Yes,
not over, not over. So beware, be very careful. We can lighten up a little bit, but there's still
right.
some stuff floating out there. But Mayor Miller was there, and I
Yes,
remember his him giving remarks, and I
that's
remember
correct.
he allowed me to make greetings because I think I've attended just about every. That's one of the things about being around so long, Dr. Ellis. You remember you've been there all of these years, and it's been a
Wow.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for allowing me just to assist in supporting the Tubman over the years. We pushed to have money put in the slots to support the Tubman Museum because it was only right, and citizens wanted that. So that's part of the effort that we have made. And Dr. Ellington on the city council always supported the Tubman, supported the Douglas as well. So that's an indication of somebody whose heart is in the right place and whose head is in the right place all along.
Well, I will tell you regarding the Douglas that every year for I don't know how many years I've been part of the group sponsoring a film series in January and February of the Douglas. And the Douglas really is the best place in town to watch a film if you get a chance.
It
It's a gorgeous
is.
building.
It really is. Yes.
Right. They've got new equipment there, and with Tubman, it's we see the benefit of that investment now with that building, that institution truly being one of the jewels downtown.
Right. There really is a lot. It made people sit back and talk about it. But they just aren't getting out and appreciating. And in most cases, what their money is paying for. They talk about cherry blossom. I'm not going down to that pink. But you're paying for it. You're helping to support all of those different events and all of the stuff that's coming in. And that the more money they make, the lower your taxes and fees will be. Because somebody else is helping to infuse money into the economy here. So think of it that way. Think of it as
It's so
supporting
true.
and
Yes.
going and benefiting from what you're paying for. So,
Exactly.
Harold, anything else that you need to tell us?
No, I would really want the community to come out and support it. It helps our education program that we're expanding this year. We're doing a summer camp again. It's going to be free for 2 weeks for the kids to come out in the month of June. So these funds will help offset those costs, so we can be able to get there's some parents that don't have that opportunity to pay for the high end. So we're trying to do a free summer camp for 2 weeks. So we really need the support of the community, yes. And we're going to feed the kids and give them, snack, lunch, because sometimes during school time, as we know, this is the only meal they get, So, and we're really trying to be a part of that community as well. It's also enhancing as well, not just be a museum. We are part of this community as well.
Well, you certainly have a variety of activities going on. And so many people, whenever I'm there, there's a crowd there, and I'm just proud of that. Very proud.
Well,
And we
thank
want
you.
to thank you. Now, give us the dates again of the Pan Africa Festival.
It'll be next Saturday, April 23rd and 24th. That's Saturday and Sunday. I looked at the forecast. It should be nice and warm, so dress comfortably.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll be afraid of rain. That's what this be nice and warm, and but we really are. Want you to come support. So the general admission is $10 per day, or you can get the tickets at the Tubman Museum for the table seating. We only have a very few seats left. We don't want to overwhelm the stage with a bunch of
right.
tables, and people won't be able to see, so we just put very few out. So come on out, see Jeffrey Osborne and Karen Clark and Byron Cage for the weekend. Spend the weekend with us at the Pan
Boy,
African
that
Festival.
is such a good event, and for that
Thank
price,
you, thank you.
and you're
Yes,
supporting a museum too, and summer
yes,
camp for your kids.
yes,
Boy, you can't beat that,
yes,
can
ma'am.
you?
Absolutely not. There's not a better deal out there.
Well, great.
Uh,
Well, thank you very again for this opportunity.
Tell us the time. Pastor Lisa is in the chat, and she wants
Oh,
to know the time.
oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the time the gates open at 11 o'clock. The festival starts at 12 noon with the opening ceremony at 12 noon. Which you really want to get. You really want to be there then too. I know Mr. Osborne will perform so late on that evening, but the opening ceremony and seeing the libation ceremony, which is amazing. People learn some cultural about the African culture of libation. And so that starts at 12 noon. And on Sunday, the praise day starts at 2 o'clock. There were a lot of local
Oh,
choirs and groups from the Middle Georgia area. So the gates open on Sunday at 1. The stage started at 2 o'clock. We got Fort Valley's choir coming down, and on Saturday we got the Fort Valley Experience, and kids can. We got cows coming down so kids can learn how to milk a cow.
oh,
we just so it's going to be a great festival. Not just come there and eat too, because you know we got the turkey legs too
yeah,
coming. So
delicious. Yeah, delicious. Just so
yes,
many
ma'am.
good things in this community that can bring
Great.
people together. And people are talking about, well, the virus is still out there. And yeah, it is. So wear your mask. Wear your
Yes,
mask.
wear your mask, and the virus never left.
Yeah, yeah.
You get boosted if you have to.
Yes, yes. If you have not, a lot of people are talking about it now because we're a little beyond some of the initial fright,
Hmm.
but you can still, the health department and many of the drugstores are still doing the shots, the vaccine.
Yes,
So if
yes,
you're smart, you
yes,
will get your vaccine. You'll get the
yes.
first and second shot and your booster.
Booster. Yes.
And I'm waiting to hear about that other booster, and I'm gonna go get it because I care about
I'll beat you in
you.
line. I
I
can't wait.
care about my grandchildren. I care about your children too.
Yes,
I,
ma'am.
I care. So if you care, go do what you need to do. Don't tell me this stuff about Tuskegee and all of that. That was a tragedy, but it was a different situation. They
Yes, yes, yes.
withheld treatment with the Tuskegee experiment. Here, folks are trying to save your life by allowing you
Wow.
to get free access to the vaccine. So,
Lucas, you know
they,
the one thing that I love people say that they're doing their investigation.
yeah.
And like, what degree do you have? You know, we don't. You know, I'm amazed by people when they say that I got to do my own investigation. I got to do my
Yeah,
research on it.
yeah.
I
Well,
said,
there
what
are
is,
a lot of
do
us
you
who
even know?
have taken vaccine, and so talk to people you know who have had that experience. Share it with you.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got both doses. I got the booster as soon as it was available,
yeah.
and so I'm not encouraging anybody to do something that I wouldn't do myself. I've done it.
Right.
Exactly.
Just smart,
Well,
y'all.
thank you again.
Because this bacteria, this virus is not going away. It continues to change. So please do what you need to do. Um, so just want to encourage everybody to participate in the Dublin. And thank you so much, Minister Young, Reverend Young, for calling. And thank you for all that you're doing to keep that museum going down there. I know it's a lot of hard work. I know it takes a lot of resources, but we're committed, as we always have been, Dr. Ellington and I, and the others who serve you in this community, to helping to keep these cultural organizations and buildings, facilities in place. So thank you so much.
And I think about the value of that when I imagine what our community would be like without the Tubman or
Yeah,
without the Douglas or without
yeah,
these other things that we have, and we would be poorer. It would not be as nice a place to live.
that's true. That is true. That's true. Thank you, Mr. Young. Did he leave us? I was going to ask him if he was still walking. He's been walking for a while, just like Reverend and Mrs. Bumpers have been walking, and they're encouraging me. I get to the wellness center from time to time. I'm not where I need to be yet, but they're encouraging me, especially Harold and some others who are doing it on a regular basis and losing weight, looking good.
It helps to
So
have some company if you're establishing
it
those good
really
habits.
does. It really does. Yes, it does. So thank you, Harold, very, very much. Uh, Dr. Ellington, Dr. Tom Ellington is our special guest today, and he is a candidate for chair of the Macon Water Authority. We're going to allow him, we've got about 10 more minutes left. If you have a question, call us 478-250-1444. We have people in the chat who have already given a salute to Dr. Ellington on his previous work in the community and have already committed themselves to supporting him. Reverend and Mrs. Bumpers have given their support to Dr. Ellington, and I think I'm in good company giving my support as well. It's been my pleasure to serve with Dr. Ellington on the Democratic Executive Committee. He's been there for a long time, y'all. He didn't just get there when he decided he was going to run for office. He's been there the entire time that he was in office and since he's been out of office, and he's continued to serve. So, just you got to make up your own mind. Nobody can tell you who to vote for, but we can certainly strongly suggest and give you information so that you can make the very best decision for you. But by all means, please, please vote. So we're going to allow Dr. Ellington to say any final remarks that he would like to say to you as voters as to why he's asking for your support for the chair of the Macon Water Authority. Doc?
Well, I could say a lot that we don't have time for, but first of all, I am honored to have the support that I do have already. And for those of you out there making your mind, I would certainly be grateful for your support during early voting or on election day, May 24th. Um, I'm an experienced leader who knows my way around local government. I'm experienced at building bridges, building coalitions, and I know how to run an enterprise the size of the Macon Water Authority. And we need somebody with that leadership experience in there now because there are some big challenges ahead. Chairman Hart has identified hundreds of millions of dollars of improvements that need to be done with the stormwater management system. And we know that the fees that just rolled out for that rollout has not gone well. I
Right.
think that needs to be revisited because what I'm hearing from people is that there are some places like small churches that are facing an existential threat from the amount of those fees. And so we
Right.
need to revisit what kinds of exemptions are available for people, how that's structured. We have to pay for the system somehow because the alternative is a community where things flood and where we lose water quality. But we need to do that in a way that's fair to people. So when people are saying what you're doing is hurting me, then it's important to listen and not to hurt the people you're supposed to be serving. So
Right.
that's one thing that is going to be a big focus. The other two systems, the water system and the sanitary sewer system, also are aging, and we need to be creative about prioritizing what components we replace first. Because we can't do everything at once. If we had $500 million sitting in front of us right now, we couldn't do all the things this year. They're going to need to be done. So it's important to think about staging. It's also important to think about where we might need some expansion. So last year there were 17 major sewer spills in Bibb County. That's where you have 10,000 gallons spilled, or where any amount reaches a waterway and causes a fish kill. So about 5 of those were with a customer that basically was going beyond their permitted discharge amount. But 6 of those major spills were on one day, October 6th.
Mm.
And you may not realize that you remember October 6th because you remember October 6th. The pretty much the bottom fell out of the sky, and it rained and rained and
Mhm.
rained,
Yeah.
and rainwater infiltrated the sewer system and just overwhelmed its capacity. Well, we can't count on that not happening again. We know that we're in an era where extreme weather is becoming more and more the norm. And so we need to make sure that we upgrade our systems so that we're ready to deal with the peak capacity that we need in these extreme situations.
Right. Right.
And so I've got the vision to do that. I'm already looking at what other utilities are doing. I can tell you, for instance, that the growing pains that we've had with the stormwater management system, that's not something that's unique to Macon. That has happened with other water utilities, and the ones that handle it best are the ones that listen to the people and restructure things when they need to make sure that they have the resources that are necessary, but where they get them in a way that's fair to their customers. Because the Macon Water Authority was founded to serve people in Bibb County. That's the purpose of having a governmental unit like the MWA.
Right. Right. Okay, so needless to say, you know where I stand as far as Dr. Ellington's campaign. I'm not telling you, as I said before, who to vote for, but I certainly am recommending him to you. We will be talking more about the campaign as we move along. We don't have but a month, y'all. So if you're not registered, you've got about a week to get registered, and you'll be able to vote May 24th, and you'll be able to vote in November as well. And there may be a runoff election or two, because there are a lot of statewide races where there are multiple candidates, and you may be asked to go back. So don't be lazy. Don't just give it up and let somebody else decide. You know they're trying to take your vote from you. So if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, because they're going to take it. They're trying to take it. So thank you so very much for tuning in today. We especially want to thank those who have been in the chat. We appreciate you. And we want to say that we just want you to let us know if there are other topics that you'd like for us to discuss. We're going to be doing some information sessions where we have different people to come. We're going to have the person who's been just appointed for the Keep Making Be Beautiful board, the executive director, and also the Macon Violence Prevention. These folks are going to talk about their programs and how you can get involved, and how they're utilizing your monies to fund programs to help reduce violence and reduce the trash and the ugliness of our community. So I think you'll like hearing that information. And of course, we'll hear from Senator Lucas again very soon, and from Kimberly Carter. So thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget, we have your government directory here at WDDO. We also have your government director at EL High School Academy. We see Dr. Walter Glover, who's snuck. Is that the past tense of sneak? Snuck
I think
or
that's acceptable.
sneaked? Whatever. I made one up. But anyway, he came in. We're glad to see him there. We're going to give him some of these too. So thank you again for tuning in. Please, please let us see you again next Wednesday, 3 p.m. for another edition of Ask Elaine. Oh, we've got 30
Uh,
seconds. Our folks and our engineer says we have 30 seconds. I'm going to let Dr. Ellington ask you to vote for him again.
well, thank you so much for having me on, and I am honored to be here today to ask for people of Macon and Bibb County to please give me your support, your prayers, and your vote during early voting or on Election Day, May 24th. Thank you so much for having me here, and please get out and vote. It's so important, and I know that it can be difficult right now. People are trying to stop it, but it's so important. So I hope that you'll get out and vote, and I hope that I am one of the people who will earn your ballot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ellington. Thank you so very much for your commitment to this community. And it's not easy these days being a white Democrat, because a lot of people are pushing this thing that if you're a Democrat, you have to be black. But there are so many issues, people issues, that we all need to be about, that the majority, overwhelming majority of people ought to be Democrats if they were working in their best interest. Unfortunately, a lot of people separate us. We'll see you again next Wednesday for another edition of Ask Elaine. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.